Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Direct Application. I'm your host, Matt Harrington. Thank you so much for joining us. Have you ever gotten one of those packages? Maybe you ordered some furniture from IKEA or pulling things together for a baby crib and there were no instructions. Have you ever been frustrated with that? Or maybe there were instructions, but there weren't enough instructions, or they were written in the language that you're used to. See, we get frustrated by having those packages delivered with no instructions. And yet, when we think about our meetings, our workplaces, and really our teams, and giving them no instructions, it's equally as frustrating. And so I want you to think about the idea of having a team charter for your next workplace team. Just like that IKEA package that you're receiving without instructions, it would be just equally as frustrating to start your teaming process without instructions. And that's exactly what the team charter is. It is your guidelines. It is your instructions on how to operate. It is your constitution. What forms that team? Why are we forming this team? It's a pretty simple document. You can do it in many ways, however you're comfortable. I like to cover these things in a team charter. Basic Google Doc, and I started with the case for creating the team. Why are we here? Then going right into mission and purpose. The mission of this team is to, and the purpose of this team is to. We want to get right into tactics and work, right? That's why we form teams, not just for the sake of forming teams, but we do it so that work improves. So we want to talk about the scope of work. What is the scope? And what is the scope, right? We want to be able to go back to that document and point out, hey, I think you're expanding the scope here, and that's not the purpose of that. So you want to have a real good, clear set of the scope of work that needs to be accomplished. Follow that with some SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, results-oriented, time-bound goals, 2, 3, 4, great for any given team. Then some maybe high-level activities you expect them to accomplish, right? Expected benefits of forming as a team and really getting the work done. Membership. Who's on this team? How do you add new people to this team? If you have some type of X team or Tiger team, they may need to pull in some different new subject matter experts. So you want to be able to understand how to put membership on that team and even cycle members off. If it's a long-running team, you have a multi-year team, you want to be able to cycle people off of that membership as well. Roles, responsibilities, and commitment, right? So what is the role of the sponsor of the team? What is the role of maybe a team leader? Or how do we shift that team leader around? What are the roles of even going to a meeting, right? So we might have a scribe, a facilitator, a process observer, and then even the commitment and the responsibilities. Here's what we expect that this team accomplishes. One that I think is always confusing, and I love to add it to the team charter, is the authority level. What are the decision-making powers and limits this team has or doesn't have? Again, you can get a sense of the clarity that we're creating with this team charter. There shouldn't be a whole lot of questions or confusion once this team charter gets written. Following authority levels, we go into resources. So not only am I going to put some constraints on that team, maybe I'm also going to give them resources. And so we have to talk budget-wise. We have to talk about talent. We have to talk about other resources, IT, other teams they can lean on. So what are the resources available to them? We might put into a team charter the decision-making process. So how do we want this team to make a decision? Is it a majority rule? Is it a consensus? Everything has to be consensus, or certain things have to be consensus? Or how are we gonna make that decision? The communication, how is it going to flow up and over and sideways? What are the relationships we want them to encourage to have, especially with partnership teams? And then finalizing negotiables. What is negotiable in this team? And then truly, what is non-negotiable? Eventually, as a sponsor of the team, you're creating the template for this. You might even be putting in some of the constraints. But ideally, when you form that team, their first task is to complete the charter, right? So I've gotten it 50% done for all of you. Please complete the rest of it. And I want you to have 2 or 3 meetings to come together to do that. I know that sometimes feels like, well, Matt, let's just get to the work. But this is that task process and that relationship training that's always furthest behind. If we can get that relationship training, if we can build out that charter, which gives us very good clarity on everything, and then we can start to move into task. And the task And the process actually moves faster because we've set this up. Charters come in handy during storming, during the conflict part mostly. We set them up during the forming. People are polite, people are agreeable, so we set the charter up early. But we know that eventually this team, if it's really innovating, is going to come into conflict. Storming happens when the vision is forgotten, when decisions get tough, when roles and structures get confusing. And this charter comes alongside that and says, hold on, we know the roles, we know the structure. And even when the pain of misalignment starts to be felt. All right. So again, what you're doing in that forming stage of your team, part of that tool is a charter in order for them to, when they start to feel the pain and storming, you can revert back to that and say, we have the rules to the road. We have the roadmap. We have your constitution. Don't forget. Here's the vision. So here's your direct application moment for this week. Head over on to my website, harringtonbrands.com, and go to the resources tab. Should be right up there in the nav bar. Download the team charter and give it a consideration. Just think about, hey, how might I introduce this to one of my teams, and even give it a pilot run. The biggest thing I see that gets in the way of implementing these tools is not the tool itself. It's ego. It's the needing to be liked and the embarrassment of putting structures to this. If you can get over that, if you can say, we're going to try something new. I heard about it over here. I'd love to try this out for 6 weeks. Then maybe you can push down the need that we've always run a team meeting like this. Why do we need to change? All those excuses. So I hope that encourages you. Please head on over to the website, download that team charter, and give me a note. Let me know how it worked out. I'd love to hear.